Good morning. This is the special meeting of the Board of Fire Commissioners. Today is April 5th, 2022. Ms. Gomez, would you do the roll call, please?
Woods Gray.
Here.
Babcock. Hara.
Here.
Ibarra.
Present.
Ninberg.
Here.
Fire Chief Crawley.
Here.
And Deputy City Attorney Linda Nguyen.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Good morning. Today is the first day that we start our regular meeting with our new fire chief. We want to welcome Chief Crawley and say how proud we are to have her with us. And we're hoping that Chief Terrazas is having a wonderful beginning of his retirement. The best days of his life, I consider. Chief Crawley, would you lead us in the flag salute and a moment of silence, please?
Yes, I'd be honored. Thank you so much. So if you're able, you could stand, hand over your heart, ready, begin. I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United States
of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence in honor of past and present members of the Los Angeles Fire Department who devote their lives to the protection of the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Crawley. And again, welcome.
Thank you so much.
We're now at item number 1 on the agenda, which is Ms. Gomez. Before we go to item 1, would you give us our rules, please, for how the public comments will be conducted?
Yes. Persons may listen to this meeting live by dialing any of the telephone numbers listed on the cover of the agenda for this meeting. Should you dial one of these numbers, you will be able to listen to the meeting, but will not be able to give public comment during the meeting. Anyone wishing to address the Board of Fire Commissioners on any item on the agenda or to provide general public comment should call 1-669-900-9128. When you are asked for a meeting ID, please enter 881-2091-3045, followed by the pound sign. Then press the pound sign again to continue. You will then be joined into the meeting. To alert the board that you want to give public comment, press *9. You will be called on by the board staff, who may refer to you by using the last 3 digits of the number you are calling from. When unmuted by staff, press *6 and please state your name. As a general reminder, public comment will be limited to 1 minute per agenda item and up to 2 minutes allowed for agenda items. At the request of the speaker will be afforded an additional 1 minute for general public comment, for a maximum of 3 minutes total per speaker. Time cannot be ceded to another speaker, and an individual may speak only once during the public comment period. Only those who are in the queue when the President begins the public comment section of the agenda will be allowed to speak. These instructions may also be found on the front page of the meeting agenda. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. Now we can go to item 1, which is the commissioner comments. Again, I'd like to welcome Chief Crawley and thank Chief Terrazas again for his many years of service. This day begins a new day for the, so to speak, a new day for the fire department, for the fire commission with a new chief. And we're excited at the future, what the future holds for us. And we look forward to working closely with Chief Crawley and the fire department staff to ensure that we fulfill some of the desires of the commission and of the organizational and training survey that we just completed. So we're looking forward to that. And also today, I'm excited that we're going to have a report from Los Bomberos and So we look forward to that at later in our agenda. So welcome everyone who's attending the meeting. And commissioners, do you have any comments? I'm sorry, let's see, hands or faces. Let's see. Oh, Dr. Har, I see your hand.
Okay.
Thank you.
On March 21st, along with some of the other commissioners, I attended the surprise farewell reception for Chief Terrazas, which was a great event. And then a few days later, there was a reception for Chief Crowley for her swearing-in ceremony. And the swearing-in did not occur in the city clerk's office, but rather in the city council chambers. So that was a great event, and got to see Chief Crowley's family, and like I said, it was a great event. And then on the 30th of March, actually, at Charles Drew University, historically Black university, we had a mass casualty simulation event where we had the medical students, the nursing students, the physician assistant students, the nurse practitioner students, and then from American University, we also had students in pharmacy and nursing, and they all participated in the event where we had mannequins and actors who acted as patients and what have you. And in that, we had Captain Robert Hawkins provided Task Force 57 to participate in the mass casualty event, and it went very well, I thought, and it was very well received by the students, for that matter, by the task force as well.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Har, for always representing us on the commission, and for also that emergency preparation. You can't beat that, because when the time really comes, you've practiced it and you're ready to go. And it will make it a lot easier. Let's hope there's never an emergency of that nature that you might have to go through, but it's good to be prepared. Thank you for sharing that, and also for including the LAFD. Very good. Okay, other commissioners? Commissioner Lindbergh, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you, Madam President. And Commissioner Hara, I saw the photos. It looked fantastic. Thank you again also for always representing and making sure that our citizens are prepared for huge disasters. Outside of that, I want to second your excitement about the new chief, and the fact that we got to see your swearing in, that it was it was extraordinary, and also seeing that it's historic, but that you, Chief Crowley, understand what that means, and you have taken that seriously. Your first message to the department on collaboration and creating a positive work environment, and understanding that the firefighters and civilians that work for this department are the backbone. That's what creates one of the best departments in the world, and making sure that all points of view are taken into account and respected. I greatly appreciate that. I see this as a new era, and I'm very, very hopeful, and I want to congratulate you again on this position, and thank you for accepting it. It's all very exciting.
Thank you very much. Is there another commissioner who would like to comment?
Oh, this is
Commissioner Ibarra.
I just want to join.
Good morning, Commissioner Ibarra.
Good morning. I just want to join the chorus congratulating Chief Crowley. It's a new day. I think you're the right person at the right time, and very excited that we're going to, get to serve with you at least for a little bit. And also, it was great to see 4 of the 5 commissioners at some of the past events, both for Chief Crawley and for Chief Terrazas. I think that we're well on our way of, returning to normalcy, and so that's great. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Very good. Are there other comments from other commissioners? Maybe all this there. I apologize for not being able to attend many of those events. I haven't for the last 2 years, and I probably won't for another 2 months under the directions of my doctor. But it's a coronavirus period for me. I've been in a bubble, and my bubble seems to continue for at least another 2 months, according to my doctors. And so I will warrant their advice and miss everybody. I love you all and miss you all. I really wished I could be at many of these things. I'm missing so many fantastic events. It's killing me. But I'm jesting. Okay, very good. Are there other comments? Seeing no other comments from any other commissioners. We'll move to item number 2, which is the report of the fire chief.
All right. Thank you so much, and good morning, everybody. I'm certainly looking forward to working with all the commissioners and the LAFD as a whole. This is going to be a fantastic journey that we're just jumping off. And like I have already communicated quite a bit, is there's going to be a lot of collaboration. And it's really ours to take and to create that space for who we are as an organization and how we're going to get there. So I'm really looking forward to the path forward. So just to speak, it's absolutely been a whirlwind the last 2 weeks. I'm going to be speaking just specifically from March 15th to April 4th. On March 16th, I did a Channel 35 interview with Women in Firefighting, a fantastic opportunity to showcase our female employees and our male employees and what we do each and every day on Channel 35. So I was very thankful to be able to highlight all the good work of our members. On March 17th, I was at the Kelly Clarkson show, and now you get to actually have a mic and speak on a national level, which was an amazing opportunity to, again, just constantly highlight the good work, professionalism, expertise, and hard work and dedication of our members. It was a really fun show. She's a fantastic person. It was really fun to be part of that show. On March 21st, as a few of you have already stated, Chief Terrazas had his retirement open house. A lot of people were there to show our love and admiration for him and the dedication that he gave to the department with nearly 38 years on the job. So well wishes to Chief Terrazas. He's on to his second chapter, and I'm sure certainly enjoying himself. On March 23rd, 28th Street Elementary School, that was really fun. I had the opportunity to virtually meet with, it was probably about 15 classrooms of kindergartners all the way up to 5th grade. Again, kind of planting that seed super early, had some fantastic questions from the kids, and I was truly honored to represent the LAFD. That was really fun as well. March 25th, that was the big day. It was my swearing in reception ceremony and oath of office. Again, extremely humbled, again, to step into this position of leadership. And it was really amazing to have my family there alongside of me and a lot of support and love. It was a fantastic day. So thanks everybody for that. March 26th, that was Dexter McDaniel's funeral. He's a retired LAFD firefighter paramedic. That was my first official duty as the LAFD fire chief. I was truly honored and humbled to be there to speak. What an amazing celebration of life. A lot of love for his family and friends there, and we really did have the opportunity to celebrate firefighter paramedic Dexter McDaniel, and we're there to support the family and friends. March 27th, had the opportunity to meet the First Lady of the United States, Dr. Jill Biden, just in a brief photo op. But the good news is she says that she loves the fire service, so we'll take that momentum behind us and let's go with it. So she was extremely a very nice woman and supports the fire service, so that was a neat opportunity as well. Everybody saw March 27th the dog rescue, and I tell you, watching that happening live, you could see the amazing work that our air ops as well as our ground resources. We rescued 2 human victims and 1 canine victim. A lot of support in what was happening there, and again, true professionalism. You can see how hard our members train. Nobody was injured. None of our members were injured, but they certainly were putting themselves at risk. That's a very low frequency, high risk type of a situation. And this is what our members do each and every day. They did a fantastic job and represented the LAFD in a wonderful manner. And lastly, on April 4th, yesterday, I had the opportunity to speak on a radio show, and that was with KABC. Got to again highlight what our LAFD members are doing. I'll take every opportunity to do that because our members deserve that. And lastly, I also had the opportunity to meet with our EMS captains at an EMS meeting. And that game plan, I want to make sure everybody knows across the organization that from the EMS side, we're elevating our game. And I wanted to start with the EMS captains and wanted to make sure that they all heard from me directly, being a paramedic since 1995 and the first paramedic that's in the fire chief's position. EMS is what we do, and we value it, and we're going to show that with our actions and words. Lastly, I did have the opportunity to walk through Metro Dispatch, get to shake a lot of hands and say thank you to our dispatchers who are extremely professional as well, and again, want to hear from them directly and what their needs are so we can better support them. End of report.
Thank you very much, Chief. How red was the map when you were there?
In and out of red, green, red, yellow, all of it.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've had an active 2 weeks. That sounds wonderful. You did some great things in 2 weeks. Met the First Lady and all these radio programs. Thank you very much for representing. It's great to get you out there and to see so people see and know what's happening. That's wonderful, wonderful. Okay, very good. And it appeared, I didn't know Dexter McDaniels, but he seemed to be a well-liked person. I mean, by so many firefighters. That's wonderful. He had a life that was just wonderful, it seems. So many people. I noticed on Facebook and all the social media how the comments. And so it's too bad that I never really got to meet him. Okay, very good. Our next item on our count is item 3, public comment. Ms. Gomez?
Good morning. We have 3 public comment callers this morning. I've requested and already is unmuted. The number ending in 403. Please state your name and the agenda item or items you'll be speaking to this morning. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Libby, and I will be speaking on 6B and general comments.
You have 2 minutes. Please begin.
Thank you. Good morning. First of all, I'd like to congratulate Chief Kristen Crawley on her new position. It's so exciting to finally have a woman as fire chief. Now that we have a woman in charge, I'm confident the problems regarding harassment and retention of diverse hires will ultimately be resolved. In my experience, women get stuff done. And from her comments, she's already well on her way. But in order for Chief Crawley to be successful, she needs data. I'm encouraged that the LAFD is pursuing a third-party study of the training academy. When almost half of women recruits do not successfully complete the academy, something is wrong. When only 74% of African-American recruits complete the academy, something is wrong. When other minorities have a significantly lower retention rate than whites and Hispanics, something is wrong. I have my own ideas about what is likely the cause of these abysmal numbers, but the data that will be provided by a competent third-party evaluation will document the actual causes and will be critical in correcting the issues that are causing these disparities. Wishing you much success, Chief Crawley. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you.
Number ending in 017, I've requested that you unmute. Please state your name and the agenda item or items you'll be speaking to this morning. Thank you. Number ending in 017. Good morning.
Hi, good morning. This is Captain Tarango here. just want to let you know that they'll be using this phone number here for my the audio for the agenda a little later. Thank you.
Got it. Thank you so much.
Very good.
Jasmine, if you can update that number for me, please. Thank you. Number ending in 105. I've requested that you unmute. Good morning. Please state your name and the agenda item or items you'll be speaking to this morning.
Good morning, Freddie Escobar, all items.
You have 3 minutes. Please begin.
Good morning, everyone. Freddie Escobar, President of the United Fire of Los Angeles City, Local 112, representing over 3,400 sisters and brothers of the LAFD. As I had mentioned many times before, our fire department is suffering from a staffing crisis. But fortunately, the drill tower classes are continuing to produce diverse and highly qualified new firefighters while maintaining the high standards of the LAFD. Agenda item 6B calls for a third-party LAFD drill tower validation study. I know that there are political motivations behind this request, including from a member of this commission who wants a no-fail academy. This is something that UFLAC will never support. I want to repeat myself. UFLAC will never support a no-fail academy. I would point out that the LAFD is currently going through a very thorough, very costly third-party organizational assessment and standard of coverage study, which would cover all aspects of our department, including recruiting, retention, and the drill tower. In addition, we have a number of studies over the years related to these issues. In 2015, the RAND Corporation produced a study titled Recommendations for Improving the Recruiting and Hiring of LAFD Firefighters. Another independent study on the LAFD drill tower concluded that only recruits had achieved passing scores for each performance standard during the drill tower should be hired as probationary firefighters. UFLAC agrees with this recommendation. Specific to the standard of coverage report, it's an important report that will provide a thorough examination of potential risks, help to evaluate workloads, determine the best staffing patterns, measure performance, and allow the opportunity to plan for the future. This is the independent study we should be focusing on because it will allow our department to make meaningful changes and implement recommendations that will truly have an impact on public safety and the people we serve and the members I represent. We should wait to see what the Comprehensive Standard of Coverage and Organizational Study Report has to say about the state of our department. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you for your comments. That was your last caller. President Wirtz-Gray.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to all of the public comment speakers. We value your opinions. Thank you. The next item on our agenda is number 4, and it's the determination under Government Code Section 54953E1 B1 BI, which comes out of what was that? AB 361 was it? I believe. Okay, so at this point, I would like to have the city attorney send us a bulletin, a notice, that if she would just kind of summarize her email to us, and then following that, Chief Graham Everett has a report to make regarding the same issue, and we'll listen to that, and then we'll go into discussion about the extension or what we would do, what we can determine, what we will determine as a group.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. This is
good morning, City Attorney.
Good morning, Commission. I just want to clarify that the memo I sent you was an attorney-client privilege memo, but I can give you the some information that's relevant to your decision right now.
Oh, okay, so very good. Thank you very much for clarifying that.
That's okay. This is a determination whether the state of emergency continues to directly impact the ability of members to meet safely in person. And as of March 1st, the city councils found that the state of emergency directly impacts the ability of all City Brown Act bodies to meet safely in person. As of today, the City Council has not made any determinations about a return date. There have been a lot of discussions by the City Council members for a return date, but nothing has been decided. Around mid-March, the City Council started holding meetings where only City Council members are present in council chambers. At these meetings, staff enters the council chambers only to present agenda items, and the public is allowed to participate only via teleconference. Neither the Police Commission nor the Police Permit Review Panel has resumed any form of in-person meetings. No other city bodies, except for the Board of Fire and Police Pension Commissioners, have resumed in-person meetings. As of today, the community transmission level, which is the transmission rate based on new cases per 100,000 people for Los Angeles County, is low. The community level, which measures the impact of COVID-19 on the healthcare system, is low. The LA County Public Health Department recommends indoor masking and social distancing for certain high-risk individuals. And masks are still required in City of Los Angeles facilities, and individuals entering LA's city facilities must either provide proof of vaccination or make alternative arrangements, such as providing a proof of negative COVID-19 test or make arrangements with staff for online access. There is the possibility of hybrid meetings, but I understand hybrid meetings being the same kind of meetings that the City Council is having, where only council members are present, but the public is not present. But I understand that Chief Everett will present some information about whether those meetings are technically feasible with existing technology and infrastructure on LAFD's part. And if there are no further questions, that's my kind of summary of considerations that the commission may have as it makes its determination today. Oh, I also just want to add that the last determination was made at our last meeting on March 15th, and that determination is good for 30 days. And so that will expire on April 15th. And so if the next meeting is scheduled for April 19th, if the board would like to continue having teleconference meetings, it needs to make a finding today.
Okay, thank you, City Attorney Nguyen. Chief Everett, would you like to give us an update on the request that when we talked about the, I think we were asking for information about a hybrid model of meetings.
Good morning, Madam President and Commissioners.
Good morning.
Graham Everett, I serve as the Chief of Staff. Yeah, so we, myself and the City Attorney and some folks from ITB, we all met with ITA to discuss the feasibility of doing hybrid meetings from our Board of Fire Commissioners conference room. We found out that there would be significant infrastructure changes that would have to be made. It would be a little extensive in terms of cost and time to put it in. The conclusion I came back with after that meeting was by the time we were able to contract that work out and purchase the equipment, while we could do a hybrid meeting, we would probably be back in a time frame where in-person meetings were kind of the norm. So at the moment, our room is not available to do hybrid meetings. The only other option that the commission would have is to find another location that does do hybrid meetings, maybe another commission room or another conference room, which I know there are a few in the city, that we could hold our meetings from there if you desire. Other than that, my recommendation would be to stay virtual until you decide not to and go in person. I don't think the hybrid meetings are financially or logistically feasible right now.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Chief Everett, for your research there on that project. Okay, so now we've had reports from different people. Are there any comments or concerns from the commissioners? I believe that we should wait and follow the city council's guidance, not necessarily meeting in person, but wait till they declare that city employees are back in the building, at which point that means that we would all be back in the building. And so I that's my opinion. I would just need to hear from other people.
I thank you, Madam President, and thank you, Chief Everett and Attorney Nguyen. I too believe that it would be irresponsible at this time to meet in person, especially when not all of us can meet safely in person. And our facility, our meeting room does not allow for appropriate social distancing. I don't see any harm in meeting virtually, and it seems like we're getting a lot of work done. So that is my opinion. And I would, if there's no other comments, I would like to move for another 30 days.
Oh, sorry. I just wanted to chime in. So I agree that at this time, it probably doesn't make any sense to go back because we can't do a hybrid model. But as I stated during our last commission meeting, all of our members did not have the option to stay at home during the pandemic. And that is, I think, as all of us have heard, because, we speak to them on a regular basis, it was part of, the hardship that they had to endure. So I think as the head of the department, we have to think carefully about what image, the optics of it, the fact that we continue to shelter at home when the members we represent never had the option to do that. So I understand that there's some impediments right now, but sooner rather than later, I think. But for now, I think we don't have an option because we don't have a capacity. So that's it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Ibarra. Is there a second to the motion, Commissioner Ninberg?
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that this board has found, has determined that due to the COVID-19 state of emergency, meeting in person would present imminent health risk or safety for attendees, our commissioners, and that is covered under the Government Code Section 54953 E1B, C, and E3A and B, I. Ms. Gomez, could you do a roll call, please?
Woods Gray?
Aye.
Babcock? Hara?
Aye.
Ibarra?
I'm going to abstain.
Ninberg?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Next item on the agenda is item 5. It's the consent agenda items. If there's no concerns, discussions about those items, is there a motion to for the actions listed on the agenda?
I still
items. Okay, it's been moved. Is there a second for items A through F?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda items. Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
Woods Gray?
Aye.
Hara?
Aye.
Ibarra?
Aye.
Ninberg?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Now we'll move to item 6, which is a regular agenda item. And the first item on it is A, BFC 22-03. It's the report from the arson department. Oh my. Welcome, Chief Page. Do we have Chief Page?
Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. It's good to see you. Good to have you here.
Thank you.
Congratulations on it's not a new job right now, but it's new to me because it's the first time I've seen you in this job. Okay, congratulations on that. So we look forward to your report. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning, Madam President, members of the Fire Commission. My name is Roy Page, and I'm the Battalion Chief responsible for the Arson Counterterrorism Section. I'm humbled and honored to be here today to speak with you about my section. The Arson Counterterrorism Section is committed to determining the origin and cause of fires within the City of Los Angeles, to investigate and apprehend those responsible for criminal fires and increase safety through a collaboration of our public partners and our community. Investigators assigned to the Arson Section are specially trained firefighters who utilize the most up-to-date techniques in fire investigation to reduce the frequency of fire incidents and actively pursue individuals responsible for fire setting within the City of Los Angeles. The members of the Arson Section investigate hundreds of fires each year that are determined to be incendiary, accidental, that are incendiary, intentionally set, or accidental. Incendiary fires are responsible for a large percentage of annual fires within the City of Los Angeles and result in several fire fatalities each year. Our typical staffing at the Arson Section consists of 18 investigators with 3 supervisors. Of these 18 members, 12 members are assigned to the day unit working a 4-10 schedule. The remaining 6 members are assigned to A Unit 1. A Unit 1 is the only 24-hour arson unit for the city and is staffed by 2 members per day. Injuries and unfilled vacancies have significantly impacted our response capabilities. Currently, we are staffed with 5 members making up the day unit working a 4-10 schedule, the 3 supervisors, and 4 members assigned to A Unit 1. The Arson Counterterrorism Section prides itself on integrity and fostering open communication with area partners in the community. Being honest, forthright, and consistent in our dealings with others fosters a positive work environment. When the Arson Counterterrorism Section members practice and promote ethical behavior, the section benefits. Our code of ethics is a standard of behavior that the Los Angeles City Fire Department expects our members to adhere to in their daily activities and their dealings with others. The code of ethics cannot foresee every situation that arises. Rather, it identifies guiding principles to help the investigators make decisions consistent with the LAFD's organizational values and reputation. The following is a list of my strategic goals and objectives for the Arson Counterterrorism Section. Goal number 1 is to develop an environment where members are safe, valued, they're informed and involved in promoting a sense of team, pride, and accountability. We'll accomplish that by working with and responding to incidents to understand and develop the investigator's strengths and address any inabilities or weaknesses. Supervisors are scheduling time to develop relationships with the members, to get to know them on a more personal level, to find out why they come to work and what drives them. Our supervisors are making ourselves available at all times and staying after hours to assist our members. I'm working hard to create an environment where members feel they can flourish, regardless of color, race, or background. The Arson Section will be a positive work environment that motivates and engages the members. Goal number 2 is to develop an effective and fair evaluation system for the Arson Section. All members assigned to the Arson Section will receive an annual evaluation outlining performance, conduct, proficiency, and behavior. We're working with key investigators to develop a mentorship program to assist in the growth and the development of members within the section. Annual performance evaluations will help assess the training and development needs for the section, assist with recognizing quality performance, and set expectations for future performance evaluations. Goal number 3 is to improve staff competency by investing in them. The Arson Section will continue to send investigators to specialized training to enhance their professional abilities. Supervisors have and will continue to encourage members to enhance their formal education and expand their technical expertise. By investing in our people, our goal is to improve the members' performance, increase their engagement, and most importantly, improve job satisfaction. Goal number 4 is to develop a computerized system to support the Arson Section's case management. We're currently working with the Information Technology Bureau to develop a new robust computer case management system that will meet the increasing needs for the Arson Section. This new system will reduce inefficiencies and leverage information technology to our advantage. And goal number 5 is to develop a fire investigation and report writing program for company officers. We'll be working with the in-service training to assist with the development and the delivery. This course was initially rolled out in August of 2021 with positive feedback from those that attended. This training will provide our LAFD officers with additional tools for cause determination, evaluation of fire patterns, and documentation. The investigators of the Los Angeles Fire Department's Arson Counterterrorism Section will continue to improve, maintaining consistent, effective, and efficient methods of operation during these difficult times to ensure that we continually meet the Los Angeles City Fire Department's mission. I thank you for your time, and I'm ready for any questions that you may have.
Well, thank you very much for your report. I appreciate your future goals because they seem very lofty. I especially am pleased that you're working on computerizing the system over there, because that's something that I think the whole department needs to improve on. My first introduction to the arson department was a chili cook-off 8 years ago. And ever since then, I've kind of like followed the arson department. And I was excited to see on Facebook, although at first I misunderstood the posting, that there's a new female investigator in your department.
We have one female investigator that is currently assigned to the arson section at this time, ma'am. We have 2 additional females that are investigators. They're going through the trainee process and they're going through the background process. I'm proud to say that for the first time in over 100 years, the Los Angeles City Fire Department's Arson Counterterrorism Section will have more than one female arson investigator assigned. As I stated in my first goal, ma'am, it was to create an environment where individuals could feel that they could flourish regardless of their race, color, gender.
Very good. Thank you very much for that, because that was of interest to me. Now, are you still understaffed?
Currently, ma'am, with the numbers that we have right now, we did a trend analysis for the department. And what we found is that the LAFD responded to over 34,000 fire responses last year. With that, it came at a cost of 32 people that perished. We had 32 fatalities. To date, the LAFD has responded to over 9,000 calls. And with those 9,000 calls, that's resulted in 11 people that have perished from that. Wow. These current numbers at this time, we will surpass 2021's numbers very quickly. And at this point, ma'am, I don't have the staff at this time to address every arson request for field resources or calls to the office by civilians. We conducted an arson trainee test recently, and we have 7 members that are currently going through the background process before they'll be able to be selected for 4 positions. They should complete the background process in late July, early August. Those 4 additional members will give me some breathing room. However, their impact to the section will not be felt immediately. I have to ensure first and foremost that those individuals are at an acceptable training level and that they're also able to take on cases with little or no supervision.
Okay. It kind of like reminds me of when we first started, we were understaffed in that department. So that's 8 years. We're still understaffed. I had another question, because the clerical help was moved over to Figueroa. And so did you ever get clerical help? And I know those women that wanted to come back, they thought they were going to be gone for 6 months, is from what I understood when I talked with them. And now I think the 6 months is over, but they haven't returned to you, right?
No, ma'am, they have not returned. I arrived at the arson section March 29th of 2021, and the clerical staff had left. The clerical staff in November of 2020 was transferred from the arson section to risk management, and they have not returned. And to date, ma'am, I do not have And to date, I do not have clerical staff.
So that's something that needs to be dealt with, is clerical staff, because that needs to be corrected. Okay. So what's your opinion of the schedule that your department is working on now?
When you say schedule,
the 2 people that are 24 hours and the 410, all that.
Ma'am, when you look at our department as a whole, Last year, we generated 866 total cases. Of those 866 total cases, we arrested 181 people. Those 181 individuals were responsible for 262 fires throughout the city of Los Angeles. When you look at our numbers, the 866, across the country, as far as larger metropolitan departments, we rank in the higher end as far as arson resources. We fall short when we look at our staffing model that we're currently employing. We are as one of the larger metropolitan departments, we are the only one with a single 24-hour resource that responds after hours.
Okay, very good. Okay, so I will let some of the other commissioners ask questions and I'll come back. Commissioners, do you have comments or questions or concerns about the arson department? Commissioner Lynn Nenberg and then Commissioner Ibarra. Commissioner Nenberg.
Yes. Hi, Chief Page. Thank you so much for the report. I appreciate it. I also appreciate your goals. They are, as Commissioner President mentioned, lofty and always, but not unattainable. So it's going to take a lot of work. What is the gender and racial makeup of your investigators? You said there's one female, possibly two coming on, or three?
Yes, ma'am. We have one female that is currently assigned to the section. We have two females that are going through the background process at this time, and they should successfully complete and be on the floor, if you will, at the arson section in late July, early August.
Okay, and the racial makeup?
We have 3 Caucasian, we have 6 African American, and we have 1 Hispanic, and I could be off on the total numbers, and I apologize for that.
Okay, I mean, yeah, definitely. I know it's diverse. I just, it's interesting to see, as Deputy Mayor Shockley had mentioned, making sure that we have equity at every level. And I do appreciate that you have a diverse cadre of inspectors. But yeah, when you come back, we'll have that put into the report as well, because I think it's important. And we also get our diversity reports as well. I think that, so speaking of accountability, so you had mentioned an effective and fair evaluation system for the arson section. What was the system prior to coming in? Was that not fair? And I don't.
Upon my arrival to the arson section, ma'am, I did a deep dive and I looked at everyone's records that were assigned there. And in some instances, what I found were members hadn't received evaluations since 2016. And it's because of that, we owe it to our members to give them a good idea as far as where they stand. We need to recognize outstanding performance and allow them opportunities to get better or to adjust and address any issues. And that comes through that evaluation process. Because these members hadn't had that evaluation, they never had that ability to do that. And so that's one of the things I really wanted to make sure that we addressed ASAP and we corrected that. So the members knew where they stood, but also it gave us a good idea as far as what training was lacking, what we needed to do to build the section back up to where it needs to be.
Wow. Okay. That is very interesting, actually, that it wasn't systematized prior. But I'm very grateful that you are going to be doing that, because it is imperative. Evaluations are critical. Evaluations of everything are critical. I mean, that's how we continue to move forward and to improve, and also making sure that they're fair and equitable. Also, standards of cover they are including arson, correct?
When you say standards of coverage, you mean as far as minimum staffing?
The survey. Yeah.
Chief, I don't know. Chief Crowley, are you wanting to speak?
About that?
I'm not sure.
Cover include arson detection?
Right. So my understanding is that was more on the field resource side, not necessarily a deeper dive on the administrative side. But obviously in the future, we're going to have to look at what is the proper staffing models and number of staff so that we can properly budget for it.
Yes. What is that? I guess is it too late? Because we had mentioned that before. We had mentioned adding arson into the standards of cover, and they said that they were going to do that. I know that you're
right. My understanding that it was not added into that initial study.
Huh. Okay.
So we can follow up on our end. We just had our first look at the draft, and I don't remember discussing any administrative needs.
Okay. Yeah. I had requested, I don't remember specifically what I had requested back. I think it was in December when they were discussing it. And I asked if they could include arson. I just want to make sure.
Commissioner, just to verify, you're looking for the standards of cover, or were you talking more specifically about the organizational study?
No, staffing for the standards of cover, including arson into that, just because they have been under-resourced for some time, even though we have just finding out that we have the most resources of large departments. I do think that we also want to make sure that we're protecting, as you know, I know that this is a priority of yours, is making sure that our number one asset is our members and their health and safety and welfare. So just making sure that is
right. And we can follow up on that just to verify that, and we can get back to you.
Okay. I appreciate it. Thank you. That's all.
Okay. Commissioner Ibarra.
Hi. So I have a couple of questions. One of them is about the prior independent assessor, Mr. Miller, did a report on arson. It must have been 10 years ago now, at least, probably a little bit more than that, about some of the evidence collection issues. And I'm wondering if those issues have been addressed, what the status of that is.
Since my tenure there at the section, ma'am, we have one individual that is specifically responsible for evidence collection, storage, and also to get it disposed, taken to LAPD, if you will. With that being said, we have looked at all avenues to make sure that we've covered those bases and those specific areas that were covered. I've worked with the senior investigators as well to ensure that our members are trained in regards to that so that we don't go backwards. We're moving forward, if you will. And that's also something that we'll be covering when our new members arrive, the 4 new members for the vacancies that I have.
Okay, great. And just, I'm also just curious about overall your working relationship with LAPD, because this is the only unit in our department that has significant, criminal law overlap. So if you can just address that.
I'm sorry, my internet kind of broke up for a second.
Sure.
That, please.
So I'm curious about your relationship with LAPD as a unit, because this is the one unit in our department that has significant sort of jurisdiction over criminal issues. So just your relationship with LAPD.
We are an interesting our group of members that make up the arson section. We are firefighters that have peace officer status. So this is a collaborative effort that we work with Major Crimes Division. We work with them on a continuous basis. That was most evident with our recent string of fires that happened in Venice, as well as the recent fires that are happening in the Pico Union District, as well as the incident that happened in South Los Angeles with the explosion of the LAPD. We've worked with ATF. So we have quite a large footprint of various outside entities that are law enforcement centric that we work with training wise, as well as, if you will, the process of collaboration of information. When we put out information as far as crime alerts, we're working with the area partners, LAPD, and those as well. So this is something that we've done for quite some time. We also attend training that is required through LAPD. So we're basically under that umbrella of LAPD as far as their training and tactics. So their training that their members receive, our members receive as well on top of the training that they received from the fire department as well.
Okay, great. So then my last question is kind of more of a comment. Sounds like you have a great plan and you have a diverse group of individuals working there. I would note, however, that one Latino or Latina in a group that size is probably not diverse enough for the city of Los Angeles. So that's just, I always need to make that point, is that, when people think about diversity, they never think about Latinos. So let's just remember that Latinos are a part of our department, should be a part of our department, should be part of every unit. So let's work on that as well. Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. Please realize that when we put out the announcement for the hire, it was open to all parties, ma'am, and we will have we have an extremely diverse group of individuals that will be part of that. Our office staff is working hard to ingratiate more folks to come into the arson office to see what we do, to get a better perspective of who we are and how we operate as well.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm. Very good. You also work with the FBI.
Yes, ma'am. We also do work with the FBI. We have the counterintelligence meetings that also take place with the FBI as well, ma'am. And I apologize for that.
No, I just remember that there are so many. You have so many different things going on there. It's not that that you might not. Chief Page, what are some of the issues that you faced since you've taken over as the chief of the arson section?
Ma'am, what I would tell you is the number one thing that I'm looking at is we did a trend analysis, and that trend analysis shows that from 2018, our fire responses have continued to rise. 34,000 calls last year. We're looking at 9,000 now, and we're continuing. My main struggle at this point right now, ma'am, is my staffing. I don't have the staff right now to address those calls for service, not only by our own internal resources, companies on scene, but also for the citizens that contact our office for assistance as well. With that being said, ma'am, that impact's being felt throughout the entire office. My members are being stretched in multiple locations to try and get things done. They've rolled up their sleeves. They've done a great job. However, it's come at a great cost. As you can see, I have a significant number of members that are off duty injured. Because of this, it's piled more work on those that are still working. Our call load continues to keep coming, and we're hoping that we can get more folks to come in. And as soon as they come in, they'll make an impact. However, because of training issues, it's going to take time, and it's going to take more work on our part, not only to respond to these calls, because they're going to continue to keep happening, ma'am. Our numbers are exponentially rising, and my numbers they're decreasing. We are under the same staffing model since 1990. We have not changed. Initially, in the early 80s, we had 3 arson units that were 24 hours. That was dropped to 2 resources, with those 6 members from the closed resource coming into the office to make up the office staff. In May of 2020, that was decreased down to 1 resource. So what you'll see is that we have a pattern where our fire incidents are increasing, but my staffing is decreasing. So we're struggling from that capacity. The other issue that I'm having is no different than the department. I'm sure Chief Crawley can attest to this as well, is just vehicles. Because of everything that happened with COVID, specifically one of my members has a canine detection vehicle. This vehicle has spent more time in shops being repaired than it actually has been out in the field. There's specifics that come with that vehicle for his animal in regards to how it's climate controlled. There's basic safety mechanisms. So as many times, and God bless the gentlemen that work in shops that continually keep rolling this thing out and limping it out there, but every time it goes out, it's coming back in with another issue. I'm having a difficult time getting him a vehicle that meets the specifications that were outlined in the agreement that we established with ATF.
Oh, wow. So do you have a budget for purchasing vehicles after so many years? How does that work?
we have a budget. We put our request in for vehicles. The difficult part is, ma'am, is like anything else, is we're fighting with everyone else in regards to vehicles, and that's where it becomes difficult. The trend that you'll see now throughout the country for arson is they're no longer going to vehicles because of cross-contamination and safety concerns. They're actually going to pickup trucks or pickup truck type vehicles for the safety and also for the health of the members. Our members are currently still riding in sedan type vehicles, either in Suburbans or they're in Dodge type Chargers. So to make that request changes everything that we've done. And so that's something that we're going to have to address at some point. But right now, we just don't have the ability to do it.
Okay, so come budget time, there needs to be a meeting with the arson department, it seems, to make sure that we include some things in there that are needed, it sounds like. As far as, is there a list of, there's no list of people who are qualified to move into the arson department? Like, there's a list for the battalion chiefs, a list for captains, is there a list for the arson department? Do you continuously hire or what?
Prior to this arson trainee test that just took place, the last one was in 2018, ma'am. This current list has 12 members on it. And as I've stated, we have 7 individuals that are going through the background process right now. Unfortunately, I only have 4 vacancies for them to fill at this point.
But at least there will be a backup list. And how long would it last?
The list would last 2 years, ma'am.
2 years. And then so do you wait 2 years to start a new list, or you wait a year and start, because it takes so long for them to train? How does that work?
For me, ma'am, what I would do is I'd look at our list as far as how we have as far as vacancies. Right now, this list of the 12 that are on there, with the members that are retiring and the vacancies that we have, we're looking at exhausting 9 people from that list. So the next vacancies may not happen for quite some time because we'll have a younger group of individuals that will be making up the arson section. However, we will forecast and look at what our retirements look like, as well as other individuals that may go to, if you will, back to the field. And with that, we'll adjust. And if need be, we'll have another test to adjust to accommodate that.
Okay, so when you see that need, you notify the department. Is that how personnel or?
Yes, ma'am. We'll go through personnel and make those adjustments as needed. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Very good. It sounds like a lot of good things are being done over there, and I am grateful to hear the good news from that department, because for a while it was a little troubling, but it seems as if things. You have it under control. We just need help.
What I would tell you, ma'am, is I have some outstanding individuals that work in that office. I have 2 new captains that are also that have just wrapped their arms around this and have jumped in, and they're ready to take on all tasks.
That's great to hear.
Unfortunately, as I stated, we just have to deal with the staffing and the increase of our fire load, or our fire calls, excuse me.
Okay, very good. Well, listen, thank you, Chief Page. You've given us a lot of valuable information we need to further look into and talk with the chief about, and see where we go from there. But thank you very much for the work you're doing over there, and thanks for working on changing the morale of that department. And that is good. All of that is good. So we appreciate the work that you're doing, and look forward to continuing to work with you, and know that the commission is here to support you.
Thank you very much, Madam President, Commission. Please feel free to come by anytime. We know you missed our last chili cook-off that we had. It was...
I can't wait. I love that chili.
It's very good from what I hear, so please, the next time we have...
it's excellent. It really is. I've had it since the chili cook-off 8 years ago. I think I've had it several times since then. I always even have some to bring home, so it's really great. I mean, I get to eat it a little bit longer than usual. So I do enjoy the chili cook-off over there. I look forward to getting back to that. Hopefully by the time they do it next time, usually they do something in the summer. So by then we should be ready to go.
We try and do something every quarter, ma'am, just to kind of bring work together.
Every quarter. I know it seems to be seasonal. Like, okay, very good. Very good. I look forward to the next one then. Thank you very much. Thanks so much. And we look forward to working with you more.
Yes, ma'am.
Are there any comments or concerns, other questions for the chief? Okay. Seeing none, I think that we should have a motion to find my agenda. We need a motion to receive and file.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we receive and file BFC 22-030. Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
Woods Gray?
Aye.
Hara? Commissioner Hara, I'll come back to you. Ibarra?
Yes.
Ninberg?
Aye.
Okay, let me see.
Looks like he dropped off.
Yeah, I don't see him there.
He's still there.
Oh, okay.
I asked him to unmute.
He's there.
I asked him to unmute himself as well.
Thank you, Jasmine. Commissioner Hara? Please press *6. I see you on the very end of the list with no video.
He's unmuted.
Can we come back to this vote?
When he's back on, when we are able to connect with him, we have enough to pass the item? So can we come back to him? Just ask for his vote when he reconnects.
City Attorney?
Ms. Gomez.
Yes, that's possible.
Thank
okay.
You. Motion carries as is.
Okay. Very good. Let's move to item B. BFC 22-032. I'm not sure who's doing that.
That's Chief Skelly.
Oh, Chief Skelly. Hi, Chief Skelly.
Hello, hello. How are you, Commissioner?
I'm fine. How are you?
Outstanding.
Good. We get to see you every meeting here.
That's what it seems like. But this is actually an exciting report back. Good morning, Madam President, Chief Crowley, Commissioners. As stated, I'm Steve Skelly, Battalion Chief, serving as the Recruit Services Section Commander, and I'm really honored to present you an update on our quest for a third-party validation study. On September 21st of 2021, the Commission asked for a report on the feasibility of a third-party validation to our process and potential for disparate impacts. Our current program has been modified after recommendations from previous studies. Training Support Bureau welcomes the study, as has been several years since we have had an official third-party analysis. Training Division has reached out to our third-party consultants to get an estimate of the cost for an in-depth study. And at this time, the department is writing a request for proposal to go out to bid for a holistic view of the Training Academy. Training and Support Bureau is currently looking for options for funding for a large-scale study. And this has been very brief, but this concludes my reports, and I'd like to answer any questions.
Oh, thank you very much. That's movement. We like that progress. Thanks, Chief Skelly, for your work in the report. Are there comments or questions? Commissioner Barr?
Yeah, so my only comment is the last time we discussed this, I think I asked for that concurrent with this report back that we get some legal analysis about what is permissible and not permissible in terms of, because obviously, there's a physical component to this job. So there's obviously going to be some discrimination that takes place. And so just, I don't know this area of law. I know that there's a lot of that's been written about this, and I just wanted a summary of that. It doesn't need to be in commission in case it's like attorney-client privileged. I don't know. I mean, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but it's up to you. I just wanted a report back concurrently with this so that we all understand, what the lay of the land is already, because fire service has been around for 150 years. There's been a lot that we already know about what's permissible and not permissible in terms of disparate impact. Thanks. That's all.
Okay. Are there other comments or concerns from commissioners? Commissioner Nenberg?
Yes. Hi. Thank you. There's also a number with a hand raised as well.
Oh,
that's Commissioner Hara.
Oh, okay.
It's me. I'm back on telephone because my connection got, on the computer, something went wrong.
If we may, we're going to take item back up, and I know there's motions required, but they're seeking your vote on item 6A.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Okay, Commissioner Nenberg.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad that there's some movement on this. Thank you, Chief Skelly.
A pleasure.
What is the budget?
That's an excellent question. We don't have a budget for this, which is why we need to get that cost estimate from to find out what it's going to cost. Looking at our last report, the 2015 report that was requested by the mayor's office through RAND Corporation, that had a price tag of $271,000. So using that will be a significant cost, which is why we're looking. We're kind of looking in advance for ways of paying for that study.
Excellent. Right. I think what's more expensive is we're losing a lot of people. And hold on a second. I'm gonna. So I think we're losing a lot of people, and it costs about $100,000 to put somebody through. I know that some of those that have failed out are very successful in other departments. So I just want to make sure that if there are filters that are in place or items that that are maybe unnecessary, that I see this study as saving this department a lot of money.
Yeah.
Much like, the organizational assessment, hopefully that'll save on lawsuits. This will hopefully save and keep those that we have gone through the rigorous process, have been hired, that if there are barriers there that aren't reflective of what we do in the field, or if there's something that we can do, I think I saw there was a TV show, someone was interviewed, they said this equipment wasn't built for somebody 5'4", right? So are there things we can do about that? Like just options, like thinking outside of the box. It's really important, and getting a third-party assessment is imperative to that. I also want to state, so I do appreciate you doing this, and very grateful. And I also want to say, for the record, and I have not heard, the president of the union stated today that a member of this commission has asked for a no-fail drill tower. I have never heard that from this commission, ever. I have not heard one person say we need a no-fail drill tower. Have you heard that?
Is that connected with our report?
Yes, because I think that it was in response to, I just want to make sure that everybody knows this assessment.
I don't think
there was a lot of resistance
to political stuff.
Oh, excuse me.
Oh, no, not necessarily.
Miss Commissioner Nenberg has the floor.
Thank you. But I have not heard anybody. So I don't know if anybody else has that I have been unaware of, but I have not heard of anybody saying this. So I don't know.
Is that connected with the evaluation?
Yes.
Chief Skelly?
Is
the no-fail policy, would that come out of an evaluation?
I think the term no-fail drill tower, it's really slang, and it's kind of really not an appropriate terminology for what recruit services and the department has done in the past, nor in the present. There have been times, which is, I believe, the result of the 1997 Landy Jacobs study, where they put more emphasis on sending more members to the field and allowing to see how probationers do in the field. It was recommended. It was recommended in that 1997 Landy Jacobs study that only people who have the ability, have proven their ability to go to the field, should be the ones that graduate. That's all that was saying. So in 1997, that was a recommendation of the Landy Jacobs study.
I see. Because it only makes sense that people who have passed the training in any program, any profession, you have to pass the training program before you go into the profession.
Yes, ma'am.
So I don't think logically that any of us would say that.
I agree 100%, and I also agree with Commissioner Nimberg that there really shouldn't be any hurdles that are in our curriculum that shouldn't be there. And we're turning over every stone and looking at everything that we can possible to make sure that our program is equitable for all.
Thank you very much. Commissioner Ibarra.
So my only point here is I'm concerned that we don't put the department's sworn staff and civilian staff, for that matter, in a position where they need to make a political statement. Whatever it is, they shouldn't be in a position where they're calling a commissioner a liar or they're calling the president of the union a liar. That's not their job. They're sworn staff. And the civilian professional staff, they're here to answer our questions, not to be put in the middle of a political argument. That's my only point.
Thank you very much. I think that we do have the right to disagree, and it may not mean that the person is lying. It's just that someone disagrees.
Madam
President,
that's a personal
issue.
Madam President,
Chief.
Just real briefly, I just wanted to make sure that everybody is very aware that from our members that are in charge of our drill tower all the way up through the chain of command, that we will always be actively engaged in creating a space for our recruit firefighters to, with their hard work and dedication, that they are placed in a good environment where they will do well. But it has to come down to that recruit that is, doing the hard work. We will always actively engage and look at past practices to make sure that they're fair, equitable, and that our training staff is well aware of how we're doing things. So that's what we will commit to. I know Chief Skelly, all the way up to Chief Gutierrez, as well as myself, are always going to be actively engaged in that and making modifications that make sense. But the end result is we want highly qualified candidates and probationary firefighters who will be successful out in the field. So that's our stance on that. We look forward to seeing what this study will show if we get to the study. And if not, they are actively engaged and always looking at the curriculum to, in the end, have a recruit probationary firefighter that's ready to hit the field and be successful.
Thank you, Chief.
Excellent. And one last question. What would the barriers be to, outside of financial, right? But what are the barriers to conducting this test or this study?
Financial.
Just financial. Excellent. I think it's important, and I am so grateful that you're working on this and getting the RFP together, and looking forward to the next report. When does the next report come? Like 90 days?
It hasn't been established, ma'am.
Okay. How about a report back? And is 90 days enough time?
That's what I was going to suggest.
Great. Perfect. Thank you so
Very
much.
good. Thank you very much.
The other option is our annual report. We prepare that in October for the first meeting in January. If you just like it included in the annual report.
I think 30 days is good, or 90 days is good.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Skelly, for the report and for the work you're doing.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Is there a let's see? Is there a motion to receive and file?
So move.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we receive and file item BFC 22-035. Oh, I think that's the wrong one. Oh, I have to go back. It's been moved and seconded that we receive and file BFC 22-032. That's the Training Academy. Oh, Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Woods Gray?
Aye.
Hara?
Maybe we could come back to him again.
Ibarra? Aye. Thank you, Commissioner
he said
Hara.
aye. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Commissioner Hara.
Ibarra?
Aye.
Ninberg?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. So now we're down to item C, which is the BFC 22-035 that I was trying to pass a minute ago. This is the corrective action summary. I'm not sure who's doing the report.
Good morning, Madam President, Chief Everett.
Oh, Chief Everett, thank you. Good morning.
So good morning, Madam President, Commissioners, Chief Crowley, Graham Everett, Deputy Chief, and I serve as the Chief of Staff. I'm providing you with a quarterly update, a corrective action summary coming out of Professional Standards Division. This time frame will cover from October 1st to December 31st of 2021. On the report, you'll see that we have there's 12 records of disciplinary action that took place during that time period. As a reminder for you all, the way that we are mandated basically to provide this report to maintain certain confidentialities that are required, we provide you with the rank under officer or non-officer, and the other category would be civilian. And then we provide you with the offense that was used under the penalty guidelines that were used to determine the actual penalty. There are some additional comments under reprimands that kind of give you a little bit more detail because many of the reprimands fall under R3 of the penalty guidelines, which is basically a violation of department policy. So this is kind of the overview of what happens. Also, as a reminder that as the department recommends suspensions for disciplinary action, the members have the right to request a Board of Rights. We do not enter final determinations on this report until that Board of Rights is concluded. So these are all concluded cases that you see before you. And I can answer any questions to some degree if you have any.
Okay, commissioners, do you have questions about this report?
No, I'm just glad to see this back because we see them, but infrequently. So it's always good to know what's going on and to see the written summary. Thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
On previous reports, and I don't know how far back that goes, we often saw I guess it was the years of service, but we don't have it on the reprimands. We have it on we do have it on the offenses. So maybe that was
Yes, ma'am. We exchanged the years of service in the reprimand section and replaced it with more detail about the offense because the the typical guideline of R3 is so general, the board had some questions about under what premise the violation was, and so that's why we provided this commentary. The seniority of the members has been removed from the reprimand section. We could include it if you wanted to, but the reprimands are our lowest form of punitive discipline, and so that's why we made that decision.
I think what else I was missing was the in the past we were told whether the offense had occurred before or whether there was something about previous history, as I recall, when we first started getting these reports years ago.
Yes, ma'am. So in the actual penalty column, you will see the discipline that was recommended and executed. If it's a second offense, those actual penalties will be higher, or a third offense, those actual penalties will be higher based on the penalty guidelines that are used. And there'll be a notation there that says second offense or third offense or whatever. So you can understand that these actual penalties that are listed here today are all first offenses.
Oh, I see. Okay. Okay. So like the T4 committed an act of domestic violence, but 28 days, it meant, how do you explain that? You said because of what?
Well, every case is different, ma'am. And every member that's involved in discipline is different. So as we do our adjudications, we look at the case, we look at the penalty guideline that's used, and the determination of the penalty that will be imposed, it varies. So it depends on the member's history, their rank, their evaluations, their past disciplinary history. A lot of factors go into that. There's basically 12 factors that we go into determining what the penalty will be. The range normally would stay the same unless you have a second or third offense. And sometimes the ranges are from a reprimand to a board of rights. So the entire scope of discipline, of punitive discipline that's available, or sometimes it's a reprimand to 5 days, which can change those numbers a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Other questions from any other commissioners or comments?
I just want to second saying thank you for bringing this report. I like to see it. And it will be in every report now?
It's quarterly, ma'am.
Quarterly.
So, yeah, one of the delay factors that we have is, again, is staffing with PSD. They're busy working cases, but they also have reports to generate. So this is a report back from that quarter of October 1st to December 31st, and we're just about due to give you a new one for this quarter now. So we're working through those to get them on the agendas a little sooner following the end of the quarter.
Excellent. Thank you, Chief.
Okay. So that'll be the first quarter of 2022.
Correct.
That's where we're,
yeah.
This is a year behind. Okay, very good. Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you.
Is there a motion to receive and file?
Yes, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we receive and file BFC 22-035. Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
Gray.
Aye.
Hara.
Aye.
Ibarra.
Yes.
Ninberg.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Now we'll move on to item D, and this is a verbal report by Los Bomberos de Los Angeles. I'm not sure who's going to report, but we welcome you. Ms. Gomez, who's doing the report? Ms. Gomez? Is anybody there?
Captain Tarango.
Oh, Captain Tarango. Okay.
Yeah.
Welcome, Captain Tarango.
There you are. I think we have you now. Yes.
Okay.
Remember, he's using the telephone.
Oh, okay. Okay. Very good. Welcome, Captain Tarango.
Thank you, ma'am.
We're so happy.
Madam
We're
President.
happy to have you here to present. Thank you so much for coming.
Appreciate you. Good morning, Madam President, Board, and Fire Chief Crawley. My name is Captain Arturo Tarango. I'm a 16-year veteran with the LA City Fire Department and Vice President of Los Bomberos. I currently work at Metro Fire Communication as a TDS dispatch manager. I'm extremely honored and excited to provide an update to you on Los Bomberos' actions and initiatives. Before I proceed, I'd like to take this opportunity to read our congratulatory letter to Fire Chief Crowley into the record. This letter was transmitted a few weeks ago, but we want to reaffirm our support for her. Dear Chief Crowley, Los Bomberos de Los Angeles would like to congratulate you on your recent nomination and permanent appointment as the Fire Chief of Los Angeles Fire Department. Having worked alongside you for many years, we know you to be a person of character and competence who will lead the fire department with courage, integrity, and pride. Your career trajectory is full of many accomplishments, and we know you to be that your ascension to fire chief was built on the common principle of treating the public and the firefighters you lead with dignity, compassion, fairness, and inclusion. We hope to meet you in the coming months and collaborate our common goals. Thank you. As per the Fire Commissioner's request, let me provide a brief history of Los Bomberos, an overview of our current state of affairs in response to your questions. Since 1966, Los Bomberos of Los Angeles City have been dedicated to the recruitment, hiring, and advancement of qualified firefighter candidates and LAFD members who possess the skills necessary to provide exceptional emergency services to the diverse communities we serve. Los Bomberos is committed to ensuring that Latinos, Hispanics, and other groups have equal treatment and opportunity for upward mobility within the LAFD through their demonstrated leadership and competence, influence, and political action. It is also our mission to identify, promote, and advocate on behalf of the professional, educational, social, political, and cultural interests of the Latino community we serve. While our roots are established in the community programs, Los Bomberos has participated in every workplace and leadership audit since 1966, beginning with the 1974 consent decree to the current Deloitte Consultants LLP LAFD Organizational Training Assessment, which was concluded and provided a roadmap and recommendations to the department. We adamantly support all such efforts by the department to become a more diverse, equitable, and inclusive organization. Los Bomberos offers an unbiased sounding board for all members of the LAFD by identifying issues, challenges, and processes which may become problematic, and work with our department management and other stakeholder groups to ensure fairness and equitability for all. This is something that we are very proud of for over 56 years. All of these reports can be found on our website at losbomberos.org. As we reviewed your questions, Madam President, what is apparent is the department has fell short of the necessary support to enhance and improve minority recruitment, including Latinos in the supervisory and leadership ranks of the LAFD. The city has a population of 49% Latino, yet the LAFD only has approximately 28% within its ranks and far less within the supervisory ranks. But that does not mean that we've turned our back on our communities. In fact, we have continued to persevere. The following are programs that we continue to support and believe would be a great fit for the department to support. The Fire Academy Scholarship. This year we self-funded up to 3 recruits. The Banning Fire Academy. We support candidates at the Fire Magnet programs, mentoring of candidates, department members, and communities through the following: mentoring LAFD potential candidates, interview preparations, promotional process preparation, workplace environment committee participations. We also requested the designation of the old Fire Station 13 at 2415 West Pico in the Pico Union District as a community center for Los Bomberos to offer support, assistance, and training for our generation of Latino firefighters and other underserved populations. Like the historic Centurion Center, which is housed at Old Fire Station 46 at 1409 West Vernon, we ask for your support on this endeavor as the Pico Union Neighborhood Council has forwarded a letter of full support to the City Council. We have also been a partner with the department on the following initiatives: the Deloitte Report, Current State of the Organization and Training Assessment, LAFD Apparatus Certification Programs, Workplace Environment Committee participation, the Fire Cadet Programs, Externally, our organization has influenced our communities through our political and labor relations. The National Association of Hispanic Firefighters Affiliation, the Los Angeles Unified School District Supervisor Austin Buettner, that was honorary fire chief, worked with UFLAC and the IAFF, interviewing and supporting elected officials and political candidates that support our mission. Of course, we would welcome any support from the Fire Commission, and I know that many of you have attended our events and been involved with our programs at some level. We are cautiously optimistic about the change in LAFD leadership and hope that our mission to ensure that Latinos, Hispanics, and other groups have equal treatment and opportunity for upward mobility within the LAFD proceeds without barriers. I'm happy to answer any of your questions.
Well, thank you very much. That was great information, new information for me, and I'm really happy that that you made the presentation. I hope that you will also pass on to the commission secretary or executive staff your events so that they can make sure that the commission is aware of all of the events that you're having. And that was a great report. Thank you very much. I also would like for the commission to, before this is over, go on record in support of, is it 2415 West Pico?
You know what, ma'am? I'm going to get back to you with the exact location of the old fire station 13.
Okay.
It's on Vermont.
It's on Vermont. Okay. But I would like for us to go on record in support of you having a education center in the community at that old fire station. I beg your, I'm sorry, someone said something?
Ma'am, I have a corrected location of 1206 South Vermont Avenue.
1206 South Vermont Avenue. Okay. So I hope that we can go on record before in support of that idea, because I think that's a very valuable idea. It's great to be in the community and have a place to call home where you can provide educational information to the community and to your members. And I'm so happy to see that you're moving in that direction. That's really growth. And I do agree that we are a little behind on the numbers as compared with the census. And so that is something for all of us to work toward, increasing our numbers of LAFD firefighters who are members of your group from the Latino Hispanic community, and make sure that we also have female and males involved in that. I think that's really insightful. Thank you for sharing that. Now, Commissioner Ibarra, I see your picture. Would you like to make a comment?
Sure. I see that Chief Everett. I wonder if he wants to make a clarification.
Oh, did Chief Everett want to make a comment? Chief Everett, did you want to make a comment?
Yes, ma'am. Just to follow up on Cap Tarango's discussion about Old Fire Station 13, just for the commission's awareness, when we vacate a fire station, the property rights end up moving over to the council district, and they retain the fire station property for their purposes. Oftentimes we can speak with them, lobby with them, and discuss what a good use would be. And sometimes we're able to work with them on something that'll benefit the community and also the department and the city. So I can certainly reach out to the council district to see what plans or what efforts they've made with the old fire station 13 to see if there's anything in the works. We have been out of the fire station for a few years now, so they might have plans already, but we can certainly double check that and look into it for you.
Who's the council member for that district?
I believe that's CD 10, but I'll have to double check.
Is it really? Okay.
It's Pico and Vermont. It's Pico and Vermont.
Pico and Vermont.
It might be one.
I think that's one.
Yeah.
I think that's one.
If it's Pico and Vermont, I think it's 10.
I'll find out, ma'am, and we'll take care of it.
But I'm not sure if Pico and if that's where it is. But anyway, I think that, but I still think that it would be helpful, regardless to who has control of it, that they know that the commission is interested in supporting the idea.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I hear it's
CD1.
It's CD1, yeah.
So I can certainly reach out to them to see.
It is CD1.
Yeah. So I can reach out to them to see what plans they have. I know we've been out of that station for, I want to say at least 10 years, maybe. So if they haven't had any plans with it, then we can definitely work with them to see what we can do. Oftentimes, if a station has gone vacant for that period of time, there's considerable cost for reparations to make it ADA compliant and available to the public. But we can certainly look into it and see where we're at.
And I know in our area we've had trouble with asbestos.
Right.
That's been a real problem. We've had some places that we could have used, but they couldn't because of that asbestos abatement was so expensive.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Commissioner Ibarra, did you?
Okay, yes.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to also congratulate them for I know that they're in the process of reorganizing. I just wanted to recount my experience with Los Bomberos, because when I was a very young council aide working for the LA City Council, I was a baby policy person. I was a legislative aide. I first met Los Bomberos, and there's always times at LAFD where there's a lot of discussions about issues regarding diversity, and that was one of those times. And so it's the first time that I met them. It just learned a lot about them and how, how their activism is very different from the other kinds of activism that you see throughout the city of Los Angeles. Some people say it's cultural, Latinos don't have a way of stating their positions without making a lot of waves. You can have a discussion whether that's the right way of going about it or not, but especially in the fire service, it's very much keep your head down, do your work, don't make a lot of waves. That also has meant, though, that despite the fact that Latinos, even back then, Latinos were almost half of the population of the city of LA. Today, we're still half of the city of Los Angeles. The gap has only grown larger in terms of the membership of the department that's Latino and the membership of the department it hasn't. It's what Toronto said, it's 28%. A couple of years ago, it was 30%. So it's just, really? There needs to be a consistent focus on this. Because I think that when we talk about diversity issues, oftentimes Latinos get excluded from it. I mean, even just in the discussion today, people make this assumption that, as long as you have other numbers of other minorities represented, Latinos are optional. Latinos are not optional, especially not in Los Angeles. Latinos are 50% of the city. They should be 50% of the department. And I think that we're getting to the point where enough people in the city are saying it and understanding it, but it needs to be consistent. The people who failed the drill tower, Latinos don't do necessarily much better than any of those other groups that were mentioned. Yes, women have a higher proportion. We need to do better with women, but in terms of between Latinos and African Americans, it's pretty much the same. So we need to be part of the discussion. People need to remember that we're part of the city too. We're a big part of the city, and we also need to be included. So thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing what else comes from this group. You've been around a long time. You have a long history, and looking forward to it.
Yes. Thank you, Commissioner Ibarra. I totally agree with you that none of us are optional, that's for sure. So somehow we all have to come together because we all have a common goal, really, and it's making sure that the department is diverse. Yeah. And so none of us are optional, whether it be Asians or Native Americans. We need more of a lot of people. But today we're focusing on the Hispanic Latinx group. So, and I'm so appreciative because we've been trying to get this report for a while. Thank you so much. Commissioner Nienberg.
Thank you, Madam President. Captain Tarango, thank you so much for this report. I'm so excited to see the bomberos here. Yes, as has been stated multiple times, Latinos do make up 50% of the population of Los Angeles. It is imperative that they are at every level, and it is alarming that they're not as represented in leadership positions. That is alarming. And I think next to women, Latinos are the most underrepresented in the department as compared to their population. So I'm really glad to see you here. I love the plans. Are you a 501c3?
Ma'am, we're working on that right now.
Okay. That's in process. And so I know that, and have you been designated as an organization where they take, I don't know the name of the program, where you get employee deductions, like the deductions, people can decide where to donate money. Is that one of the identified groups?
So at this time, they don't have any deductions, monthly deductions for Los Bomberos, but we do take donations, and then that's one of the things that I want to work on is possibly even getting a monthly deduction or just a yearly donation to help fund the program, the organization.
Okay, good. I know that it's been very successful for the Stentorians. I don't know if the LAWFS has been able to be, I think they might have been recognized. I'm not sure, but it was a process. It's a long process to go through personnel, but it's also going to be beneficial. So, and how many active members do you have in your organization?
Currently, we have 175 active members, and that's in the city. And also, we represent other counties and cities as well.
Oh, great. So you're LA County?
We represent other members as well as some smaller fire departments that don't have the representation. We help support them as well.
That's good.
That is actually very, very good. And especially because in a lot of departments, they don't have the numbers, to create their own employee organization, which seems crazy in Southern California, but I know that that's true. So I'm glad that you're there to advocate for them as well. And I hope that we get to hear from you again. This is really important. As Commissioner Ibarra has said, like making sure that you're visible, making sure that we see you, because we don't know what the needs are. And I do know that converting fire stations to training centers, updating them, getting the asbestos abatement, it's expensive, but not impossible. So happy to help out in any way I can. And I know that it is, it's crucial. And especially, what's really great are the youth programs that we have here. And I know that the Valley program was this was a couple of years ago, was 94% Latino. So making sure that pipeline's strong, making sure that, and also that we are not, I know I saw the reassigns for in the academy, in the actual academy, are pretty high for Latinos. So want to make sure that in that third-party assessment that we are making sure that we're taking that into account and finding out what unseen barriers could possibly be. So I am very grateful. I look forward. I hope that this department is 50% Latino soon. And I think under this new leadership, I think that is possible. So thank you so much. And thank you for presenting today.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Captain Tarango. That was information. The more we talk to you, the more we learn. So we're having a good thing here. One of the things that I think is really important is that you become a 501c3, because then all of us can make donations to you, and that means the donations mean more to us when we do contribute to a 501c3. But so I hope that you'll get that going really soon. And
we appreciate you, Madam President.
Thank you very much for coming, and give our best to your members And anything that, if any way we can help you here at the commission, please let us know. And make sure that Ms. Gomez has all of your contact information so I can get it from her also. Okay, very good. Well, thanks so much. Have a great day. And we all will continue to work on some of those things that you mentioned in there because they fit right in with our plans and our goals. Very good. Okay, so that was a verbal report. Let's move on to, is there a motion or how does the commission think? Would it be good to send a letter to somebody, the commission, the council member, just to let him know of our interest in that the association, the group having a home? Would there be any objections from anybody on the commission if we sent the letter?
No objection.
No objection.
I think it's a good idea, but
okay.
But we should be mindful of what the council office, has. It should just be delicate, I think. Okay, so I'll work with Chief Everett and we'll see if the letter seems to fit in, if they haven't got a use for it. Since the neighborhood council has already sent one, that's good. That's good. Okay, very good. So we move on to the next item. I think it's Chief Graham Everett. It's your turn to update us on COVID vaccination.
Good morning again, commissioners.
Good morning.
So our update for today's numbers, we have 3,225 fully vaccinated members. Our percentage is just over 86%. We have 322 exemptions that have been received from members that are not fully vaccinated. 26 of those are medical, 15 are medical and religious, and 281 are religious exemption requests.
How many are religious?
Religious, there's 281.
281, okay.
So we provided 341 at the very outset of providing these letters, the 48-hour notice to comply. So we had 341 of those members were served with those notices. 111 of them became compliant before being placed off duty. A total of 230 members had been placed off duty. However, 198 of them became compliant and returned to duty. 13 have resigned or retired early, and 1 has been discharged. 18 members remain on administrative leave, where they are, off on administrative leave and not working in the field. Right now, as of today, we do have a couple members, 2 members actually, in isolation, and they have an active COVID case that they're dealing with. 9 are unable to return to duty due to some post-infection disability. 3 are unable to return to duty, but they're working in a light duty capacity. And so that's our update for this meeting on the numbers. I can take any questions if you have them.
You said this, how many were on administrative leave?
So currently on administrative leave, we have 18 people.
And you said that they're not working in the field. So does that mean that they're working in an office or something?
They've been sent home without pay, ma'am.
Oh, they sent home. Oh, they're not working at all. Okay.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. Are there other questions? Commissioner Nimberg, I see that you might have a question.
Maybe.
I see your picture, so I figured.
No. Chief Everett, so thank you for the report. As far as where are we in the process of actually processing these exemptions? It's personnel, right?
Well, we have teams internal to the fire department that do an initial screening, offer interviews for the members that have submitted either exemption. And then once those interviews or once the packet is created, they will send it to the personnel department, and they have a larger group of experts that look at these exemption requests. So we are in the process of forwarding those packets to the personnel department. And so that's where we are. So there's quite a few, obviously, to process, but they're working through it. I think we have 4 teams to work, 4 teams of people working on those within the department.
Do you know roughly how many packets have already been sent?
The last I heard, I believe it was 1/3 of the packets were done and sent over there. I don't have an exact number, but it's a partial to the total, obviously.
Okay. And then, and none have been completed from personnel yet.
For the fire department, I'm not aware of any final determinations being made for personnel department, for fire department employees.
Okay. Do you know where PD is on this? Where if they've gotten?
No, ma'am.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to keep up with us. But yeah, no, I don't know where any other department stands in it.
Okay, so I wonder where personnel is on these determinations.
Yeah, I know they have the entire city workforce that they're dealing with, so I know that they're working very hard, and they're in communication with our department contacts, but I don't know how far along in the process they are.
Okay.
Chief Crowley, did you have a comment?
No, I did not. Thank you.
Oh, okay. Okay. Commissioner Neighbor, did you have other questions?
No, I'm just trying to figure out the process of, they're still in the field getting tested twice a week, correct?
Correct.
Okay. I mean, just where we're at in that process, how many members do we have? Just trying to figure out what the lay of the land is on that and how long it's going to take to actually go through this process. It's certainly laborious.
Yeah.
Like it could take years.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. Members that are in the field that have filed for an exemption that remain compliant to the ordinance requirements of testing, they remain in the field until further notice. However, if they become non-compliant, then we will provide them with notification that they're being detailed home. If they're not testing when they're supposed to, things like that. And we have basically every night a list goes out for people coming back to duty and people that are going off duty. So it's definitely a lot of work, but we're trying to maintain compliance to the ordinance and all the requirements.
Right, and ultimately the health and safety of our department and the welfare of our
correct
citizens, for sure. Yeah, and I know that it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when the next surge comes. So just making sure that we're prepared.
Yes,
excellent.
Ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, very good. Are there any other comments or questions for the chief?
Oh, just one question. We've gotten a couple of letters from members stating something about the county is getting rid of its vaccination requirements. And I just want you to clarify for the record what the rule actually is as far as you're aware.
Yeah, so I'm not sure. Well, I focus obviously on the city mandate. My understanding is the county was working through their mandate requirements and that their fire department had sent out letters similar to ours, I think, requiring compliance to the mandate. That I believe they did have to rescind some of their letters, but I do not believe that their stance on the mandate has changed at all from our contacts. But they did rescind the current letters that were sent to their membership. I don't know the particulars as to why they rescinded their original letters, but I do know their stance on compliance to their mandate has not changed.
So my understanding is that there was some clerical mistakes that were made, perhaps, and that they needed to fix those clerical mistakes. But their stance is essentially the same as ours, that they have a mandate and they're enforcing it.
That's my understanding too. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I just want to clarify because we get a lot of letters and emails from people saying, why are you enforcing the mandate? County's not enforcing the mandate. That is not true. I just want that to be stated for the record. Thanks.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Ibarra. Any more questions for the chief? Okay, thank you very much, Chief Graham, Everett.
Yes, ma'am.
And we'll move on. To notice the public and the commission on the next meeting, we're going to follow the city council agenda, and our third meeting in April will be canceled. If there are no other comments, concerns.
Do you mean the second meeting?
I'm sorry, the second meeting.
Okay.
Right, not third meeting. I had the second meeting. You're right. Thank you for correcting that. I don't know why I want so many meetings. The second meeting will be canceled. And the next meeting will be on May 3rd. Okay, very good. If there are no other concerns or comments, a motion to adjourn is in order.
So move.
Second.
Ms. Gomez, would you do a roll call, please?
It's Gray.
Aye.
Hara.
Aye.
Ibarra.
Yes.
And Enberg.
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you all very much. Have a happy Easter, happy Passover, happy Ramadan if you celebrate. And we'll see you on May 5th.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, Captain Taranga.